Thank you for having me.
All eyes on the kingdom. Men in the king. All eyes on the kingdom.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Joe Williams, founder and CEO of Men in the Kingdom, and my business acquisition manager is Kevin Vaughan. Welcome, welcome. Hey, Robin, how are you today?
I'm fantastic, Joe. How about yourself?
I couldn't be better. Tell us a little, take a couple minutes and tell us who you are, Robin. I mean, our audience needs to know exactly who you are and what it is that you're doing.
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in Columbia, South Carolina, and then was staff on the Obama campaign. I was actually Southeast Regional Field Director. I was plucked from thin air to do that too. And then the only thing that could match the adrenaline of that was jumping out of perfectly good airplanes. So I enlisted in the Army. In part to see the world. And Joe, they sent me to Georgia, and right next door. So I did 11 years in the Army, 2 combat rotations as an Army Ranger, 75th Ranger Regiment. Won a bunch of awards, won NCO of the Year, actually twice for my battalion, and decided to stay and make Georgia my home. I first lived in Midtown, and then I moved to DeKalb County, and I've been really happy here. I ran for mayor here, and I actually adopted my 2 half siblings who were much younger, and I'm raising them as my own kids. They were 7 and 11 years old at the time. There was a family tragedy, and I've been raising them right here in DeKalb County Public Schools. We're just one big happy family.
Amen, amen. Well, Robin, generally what I do is I punt off to Kevin, and I'm going to punt off to Kevin because he has, a question for you to get us started.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much, Robin, for being with us today. Robin, we always like to hear from our guests is who inspired you to get into this wonderful area of life, if you will.
Man, it's going to sound cliche, but honest to goodness, working on the Obama campaign completely changed my life forever. I was working on a citizen health initiative to get smoking banned basically in public places. That, if you recall, that started in the early 2000s, and I was pretty much head of that. I had a couple friends that died from secondhand smoke that were musicians, and I was just really passionate about that. That's why the Obama campaign plucked me from thin air. They said if I could get that done in Marlboro County, that they wanted me, and just the look on people's faces as we canvassed and knocked door to door and held rallies, the look of underserved communities, like what it meant to them, just completely, I'm getting chills, just completely changed my life forever. And that inspired me. I never ever dreamed of running for office myself. I was content, just like I said, running the Obama campaign and others, but I was recruited to run. Didn't see myself as a candidate, but here we are.
Amen, amen.
So much.
One of the things that I always like to ask the guests is how have things changed since your South Carolina days to Georgia?
Oh, well, my life completely forever. I bought this house. It's a funny story. I bought this house in 2018, and it was just me and a cat. And everyone thought I was crazy for buying this big old house, but I got a great deal on it. It's been a fixer-upper. And then I think it was 9 months later, the tragedy happened and I got the boys. So things have changed completely since the Obama campaign. On the Obama campaign, we just had a superior grassroots ground game. And now with politics, you have to be really on top of digital media, social media, and people really don't like you coming to knock on their door now unannounced in this day and age. I know I don't. So it's changed a lot. We've had to evolve and with the change with the times.
Well, you're running for Georgia Senate in District 55. How has that sort of matriculated in your life? How have you felt, and what is the desire behind you as you are a candidate for this position?
Yeah, sure. I was recruited to run by Senator Kim Jackson. She used to represent this district, and she was drawn out of this district. And she and some other senators sat down and were scratching their heads about who would be the best candidate to run, who might be able to work across the aisle and get things done. Like some of my other friends in the House and Senate, Amani Barnes, Scott Holcomb, for example, and Sally Harrell. So they reached out to me. Senate District 55 encompasses most all of Tucker, part of most all of Stone Mountain, Snellville, and Stonecrest. And
Territory.
yeah, it's a great big territory. It's 198,000 people. When Senator Jackson asked me to run, I sat down with my kids and I talked to them. And they were all on board. But I also looked at the docket for last year at some of the really harmful bills that were proposed. Some of the ones that, for example, wanted to defund public libraries, take them out of the American Library Association. I just wasn't for that. There were so many culture war bills and things that would actually harm my family and other families. So I just kind of did some soul searching. I'm a deacon at my church. I prayed on this, and I felt a calling to run, so I ran.
Well, you know, some of those things that you're talking about in terms of those crazy bills that are passed, and you'll often wonder why. But you take the library out. I go to the library quite often. I'm not
Yes,
ashamed
sir.
to say it. And what I generally do is I go to the library because I want quiet time, and I have quiet time at home, but it's home. And sometimes you just want to go somewhere where you have a different kind of environment, and you can actually just stay really clear to and focused on what it is that you're working without having to be social. I don't mind being social. I think I'm one of the major social guys around, but this time where you just want your own, you covet your own time. So I would certainly have suffered from any closure of any library. You know,
Yeah.
I just think it's a
And
necessary thing that we have to have.
yes, sir. And then the book bans, there've been, I think, 380 books banned. And I've got two kids that are school aged. They need as much education as they can get. And I don't
Absolutely.
want it dictated by politicians and a political agenda. They need to know what real life is all about. That's why I have them in public school. And look, some of the other harmful bills, when they wanted to pull public funding, public tax dollars, and fund private schools, my neighbors out here in Smoke Rise need that money the least. It's the underserved communities in parts of
Yes.
Georgia. They don't even
Yes.
have access to private schools. There are no private schools there. So to pull funding from them to fund rich people who can afford to send their kids to private school and give them $6,500, I'm not so much about that. Also, Medicaid expansion. There's still almost 700,000 Georgians who don't have any health insurance. And Joe, what happens when you have a situation like that is that they don't get preventative care. So they wait until the situation gets so bad
So
that
bad.
they're forced to go to an emergency room, and then they can't afford to pay that bill. So then it falls on the hospitals. And we've seen so many hospitals close actually in the state of Georgia. So if we can expand Medicaid to fund those 700,000-ish people, the Central Budget Office for the state of Georgia said we'd save $4 million. We almost passed that. We were one vote shy. Let me be that vote.
Wow, that is unbelievable. Robin, one of the things is that kind of we're up against a little bit of time, but one of the things I wanted to ask you is what kind of advice would you give someone who's interested in doing exactly what you're doing, who's did the research, combed all the different corners, found out the negligent bills and things like that and the worthy bills? I mean, and you're absolutely correct when you say, why take money out of the budget and give it to people who already have money?
Exactly.
I
It
mean,
doesn't
but
make any
that's
sense.
kind of the way the world has been operating for some time, is that the
So,
rich keep getting richer and richer and
yeah.
richer and things like that. So
Whew.
anyway, go ahead and address it if you would, please, sir.
Yeah, there's a quote. I'm probably going to botch this quote, but my favorite quote is from Bertrand Russell, and it is that the ignorant are cocksure and the intelligent are full of self-doubt. We need more intelligent people running for office, but so often the intelligent people are full of self-doubt, and we see really ignorant people representing us, and ideally, politicians are supposed to represent the people. I'd like to think that we're not all ignorant. I'd like to think that we're intelligent. So I'd love for people to get involved who are intelligent, run for office who are intelligent, have some good ideas, so we can put some of these really bad ideas and bad legislation to rest, because those are the people getting elected, and it kills us.
Well, I do see that, and I had some friends text me last night, and they were lobbying for, the CEOs here of DeKalb County.
Sure.
Well, I'm one of those kind of guys. I do look at everything that's out there, and I do my research. And the first day that we had voting, I went and did my voting
I love it.
because I wanted to take myself out of it. I was the only person in there, and that right there saddens me because Monday is going to be a madhouse.
Oh, it's going to be
And
crazy.
So I see people passing every day. I asked them, "Hey, have you voted?" "Oh no, I'm going to go in a couple of days." Well, what are you doing right now? You go right now. See, now they're going to go where there's a line of people, and I don't even know if there'll be a line of people, because it seems like this primary period or voting period, it doesn't have as many people going to the polls because they're not taking it seriously. But what
So,
takes seriously is my neighborhood, my
oh
area.
gosh, yeah.
I want to know that I have the right person that's representing me properly
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
understand my
And
needs.
and we've been tracking the numbers. I can tell you right now that as of Friday night, early voting's done. Now you're gonna, people have to show up on May 21st.
Yes.
Polls are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Well, we've been tracking the numbers as of Friday night. 17,800 people have voted in this district of
Okay.
198,000 people. So we need more people to get out. And there's 5 people in this race, and they're not bad people. But I will say that I don't want anyone. I just, what the kind of politician that I can't stand is one that's running for reasons of ego or to enrich themselves, or to pad their resume. That is not me.
Yeah.
I don't need the money. It only is $23,000 a year. I don't know how these politicians get rich sometimes with kickbacks from lobbyists. That ain't me. So, I may not look like some of the people in this district, but I've got your back, and I will represent you well and with ethics.
I believe that. I believe that. I was impressed with you when you were a candidate for mayor in Tucker,
Thank you,
which is
sir.
obvious that I did a big campaign at the church, and I was so
Yeah,
happy that all of the candidates showed up.
it was
And
great. That was
really,
wonderful.
someone told me,
That's
they
why
said,
I joined that church. The church, that First Christian of Atlanta, felt so warm and welcoming and inclusive. I was like, this feels like home. And my kids and I have been going ever since. It's been a
yeah,
couple of years now.
yeah. Well, I've been a member there for 18 years,
Oh,
and
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
when I initially came in and I talked with the board and asked them if it was okay to do that, they said yes. It was
Yeah.
like, wasn't anything to think about. I was going to MC it, but I ended up getting Tim and his wife Debbie to do it, and I thought it gave me a
Yeah, they did a
chance to
great
just
job.
sit back and just watch the festivities. We had almost 200 people show up that night, and that
Wow,
told
yeah,
me
that
that
was wonderful. That was the best. That was my favorite event of that season in 2021.
right, right. So I was very pleased with that. But anyway, Robin, what I'm going to do, we kind of squeezed you in here.
Yeah,
I want to
sure.
just ask you if you could help me with one thing. How can the audience find you?
www.biro, for Georgia.com. And we do need help with just visibility on Tuesday, just waving signs and t-shirts. And we're throwing a party tonight, actually. Go to Biro4Georgia.com. I'm throwing a house party tonight just to unwind and thank everyone for all of their help. Everyone that's listening is invited. Go to my website and send me an email. Thank you.
Great. Well, and with that being said, we want to thank you for your time,
Thank you,
precious
Mr.
time.
Bose.
We know that you're in the throes of trying to pull everything together, and we
Yes.
do ask that you follow us at meninthekingdom.org. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed to see some of the good things and the good work that we're doing. With that being said, we're going to take a couple minutes, or a couple seconds rather, and we're going to have Kevin close us out.
Thank you.
So much, Robin, for being with us today. Have a great day, buddy.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All eyes on the